figures revealed today show the alarming scale of child sex abuse church in Australia.
Bienvenidos todos de nuevamente al canal JW Untold Truth o la JW, la verdad no contada. Vamos a ver un programa muy interesante sobre el Australian Royal Commission que pasó en 2014 en Australia. Y vamos a ver día por día lo que pasó. Voy a sacar los detalles más resaltantes de todos los días y vamos a ver día por día lo que pasó. Pero comencemos primeramente con la introducción al Australian Royal Commission que pasó en noviembre del 2012. Nuestro ex primer ministro Julia Gillard propuso un Royal Commission de respuestas institucionales sobre el abuso sexual infantil. Y aquí fue donde lo introdujo en una conferencia de noticias.
I have just visited the Governor-General, and the Governor-General has agreed to my request to establish a Royal Commission into institutional responses to child sexual abuse in Australia. In November, I announced the government's intention to have such a Royal Commission. Since that announcement in November, we've been involved in a process of consultation about the terms of reference, and Minister Macklem will detail some of the consultations that have been gone through. In addition, I had the opportunity to speak directly to my state and territory colleagues about collaborating on this at the Council of Australian Governments meeting towards the end of last year. Following those consultations and discussions, today we can announce the establishment of the Royal Commission. I believe our nation needs to have this Royal Commission. Child sexual abuse is a hideous, shocking and vile crime, and it is clear from what is already in the public domain that too many children were the subject of child sexual abuse in institutions, that they've had to live with the trauma of that child sexual abuse for the rest of their lives, that they weren't provided with a safe childhood and a safe place to be, and that too many adults who could have assisted them turned a blind eye so that they didn't get the help that they needed. The Royal Commission will provide us with recommendations about what we can do better for the future. The Royal Commission will be recommending to us what we can do to better keep children safe in institutional contexts, what we can do to ensure that child abuse is reported and responded to, what we can do to clear away any impediments to the reporting of child abuse. I believe our nation needs to learn these lessons and act on them for the future. In addition, our nation needs to send a very clear message to those who have survived child sexual abuse. For too many, the trauma of that abuse has been compounded by the sense that they have had that their nation doesn't understand or doesn't care about what they've suffered. To those survivors of child sexual abuse today, we are able to say, we want your voices to be heard. Even if you've felt for all of your life that no one's listened to you, that no one has taken you seriously, that no one has really cared, the Royal Commission is an opportunity for your voice to be heard. And in acknowledging that we need to hear those voices, I hope we can provide some measure of comfort to survivors of child sexual abuse. And I hope in having the opportunity to tell their story, they will find some opportunity for healing. I do want to be clear about what the Royal Commission will do and what it won't do. The Royal Commission is into child sexual abuse and related matters. The Royal Commission is into child sexual abuse and related matters in institutional contexts. It will not deal with child sexual abuse in the family. It also will not deal with abuse of children, which is not associated with child sexual abuse. We have consulted and we've made some choices so that the Royal Commission can focus on child sexual abuse and provide advice and recommendations to government in as timely a way as possible. Commissioners have been appointed for a period of 3 years and will begin their inquiry as soon as possible. The Commission will prepare an interim report by no later than the 30th of June 2014 so that governments and organisations can start taking action on the Commission's early findings and recommendations. In the interim report, the Commissioners will also identify when their final report will be completed. The terms of reference do set an end date for the Royal Commission of the 31st of December 2015, but that end date can be extended if necessary. Today is the day that we start to create a future where people who perpetrate child sexual abuse cannot hide in institutions, where we work together to find a better way of keeping our children safe.
Bueno, como podemos ver que la ex ministra, primer ministro de Australia en el 2012 o 14 quiero decir, no, 2012 sí, propuso esta investigación. Y era una investigación a todas las instituciones en Australia, no solamente a los Testigos de Jehová, sino a todas las instituciones en Australia, cómo respondieron, qué clases de sistema tienen para proteger a los niños o qué clases de sistema tienen para asistir a las víctimas de abuso sexual. Pero aquí miremos a ver, no vamos a ver todos los casos porque hubieron 57 organizaciones que fueron investigadas en Australia y no tenemos el tiempo ni la paciencia de ver todos estos casos que hay, sino que vamos a ver, voy a mostrarles todos los nombres de las organizaciones bien rápido para que vean que no solamente los Testigos de Jehová fueron investigados, porque la mayoría de los testigos dicen no, eso fueron mentiras, fueron gente que fueron pagados para mentir y todo eso, porque solamente fuimos nosotros que fuimos investigados. No fueron solamente los testigos, fueron 57 organizaciones. Miremos a ver las organizaciones. Que aquí tenemos número 1, el 2, 3, el 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ahí van, sigan mirando. Y sigue, y sigue, y sigue, y sigue, y sigue hasta que llegamos a la organización número 57. Pero vamos a mirar la organización el caso número 29, o la organización número 29, que fueron los Testigos de Jehová. Aquí dice, estudio de caso 29 de Testigos de Jehová. La audiencia pública examinó la respuesta de los Testigos de Jehová y la sociedad Watchtower Bible Tract de Australia a las denuncias de abuso sexual infantil. Entonces, solamente estaban examinando la respuesta, cómo actuaron los testigos y la Watchtower a sus víctimas. Pero estamos aquí para ver el caso 29 de los Testigos de Jehová. Aquí donde vamos a enfocar nuestra atención. En el caso 29, los Testigos de Jehová, el notario Justice Peter McLaglen fue puesto a esta investigación. Y hubieron 6 comisionados en esta investigación. Cada comisionado fue asignado a diferentes organizaciones y el que le tocó a los Testigos de Jehová fue Justin Peter, como pueden ver aquí. Pero se preguntarán, Justin Peter, ¿qué cualificaciones tiene o qué experiencia tiene para ponerlo ahí? Pues miremos a ver qué clase de experiencia tiene Justin Peter. Entonces dice aquí, comisiones y consultas. En 1984, pruebas nucleares británicas en Australia, investigación. En 1988, investigación sobre seguridad en piscinas. En 1992, investigaciones sobre corrupción. 1997, solicitud de licencia de Sydney, el casino de Sydney. 1998, investigación sobre el agua en Sydney. 2008 presidió el grupo de trabajo de eficiencia de pruebas de New South Wales. 2005, miembro de la Comisión Judicial. Entonces tiene bastante experiencia en todas estas investigaciones. Bueno, aquí tenemos un timetable. En noviembre de 2012 se anunció la Comisión Real Australiana. Entonces, en marzo de 2013, la Comisión Royal cambió el acto, las leyes, para poder, aquí vamos a leer, se modificó la ley de la Comisión Real en 1902 para permitir secciones privadas. La primera sección privada se llevó a cabo el 7 de mayo de 2013 en Sydney. Ahora tenemos abril 2014. Estudios de casos. Comenzaron las audiencias públicas. La primera audiencia pública se llevó a cabo en el Tribunal del Condado de Victoria, o el Estado de Victoria. Desde entonces, 57 audiencias públicas que realizaron. Bueno, ahorita vamos a ver los casos que se presentaron en abril 2014. Aquí se va a presentar cómo los testigos de Jehová van a mostrar cómo actúan legalmente o cómo dicen que deben de actuar según sus publicaciones, qué publicaciones usan, qué leyes tienen, o sea, qué deben de hacer cuando algo se presenta y todos sus reglamentos. También van a mostrar aquí toda la información. Esto fue lo que pasó el primer día. Entonces vamos a ver el video con los subtítulos y voy a ponerlos y voy a resaltar la información principal mientras que hablan, para que así puedan ver lo que están diciendo y puedan ver los puntos más resaltados. Entonces miremos el primer video.
Rodney Spinks of the Service Department will give evidence that the current policies of the Jehovah's Witness Church for dealing with an accusation of child sexual abuse are outlined in the following 4 publications. Firstly, the Bible. The English edition is the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. Secondly, the Elders' Handbook. Thirdly, Watchtower Society publications, such as Organized to Do Jehovah's Will. And fourthly, letters sent to all bodies of elders. In particular, a letter dated 1 October 2012, which consolidated and replaced into one letter the spiritual advice and guidance provided in various past letters from preceding years as to how Jehovah's Witnesses handle allegations of child sexual abuse. Jehovah's Witnesses are taught from the Bible that they have a personal responsibility to report wrongdoing to elders if the wrongdoer does not voluntarily come forward. Upon receipt of an allegation, elders are directed to immediately call the branch office for direction based on the circumstances of each case. 2 elders from the congregation are also directed to immediately call the legal department for legal advice on mandatory reporting obligations. The legal department is instructed to refer the elders to the service department for scriptural direction on theocratic or judicial aspects of the case and how to spiritually comfort and support the victim. The service department also provides guidance on when and how elders should interview a young victim of child abuse. 2 elders are directed to investigate every allegation of child sexual abuse by speaking with the victim, the alleged offender, and any other witnesses if necessary. The weight given to the testimony of youths is at the discretion of the investigating elders. Elders are not authorized to take congregational action unless the child sexual abuse is proven according to biblical standards, which are satisfied by evidence of a confession from the accused or the testimony of 2 credible witnesses to the same incident, or the testimony of 2 witnesses to separate incidents of the same kind of wrongdoing, or strong circumstantial evidence testified to by at least 2 witnesses. Whereby those rules there is insufficient evidence to substantiate the alleged child sexual abuse, the matter is held in abeyance, and the elders are directed to, quote, remain vigilant with regard to the conduct and activity of the accused. In this event, no further action is taken in relation to the complaint, and the matter is left in Jehovah's hands. The Royal Commission will hear that over the past 65 years, the requirement that there be 2 or more witnesses has prevented at least 125 allegations of child sexual abuse from proceeding to a judicial committee. That is not unexpected, given that by its nature, there are very seldom witnesses to child sexual abuse beyond the survivor and the perpetrator. The Royal Commission will hear that since 1950, 401 alleged perpetrators of child sexual abuse were disfellowshipped, 78 of whom were disfellowshipped on more than one occasion, and 190 alleged perpetrators of child sexual abuse were approved, 11 of whom were approved on more than one occasion. Since 1950, of 401 disfellowshipped alleged perpetrators of child sexual abuse, 230 were later reinstated, 35 of whom were reinstated on more than one occasion. The case study will explore a number of risk management measures that the Jehovah's Witness Church has in place regarding how a congregation might deal with a person against whom an accusation of child molestation has been made. Evidence will be put before the Royal Commission that of the 1,006 alleged perpetrators of child sexual abuse identified by the Jehovah's Witness Church since 1950, not one was reported by the Church to secular authorities. This suggests that it is the practice of the Jehovah's Witness Church to retain information regarding child sexual abuse offences, but not to report allegations of child sexual abuse to the police. It is anticipated that documents will be tendered before the Royal Commission which will show that the Australia Branch Office have considered that confessional privilege would apply in circumstances where the perpetrator confessed to a child sexual abuse. Mr. Toole will give evidence that there are approximately 7,000 elders and ministerial servants currently serving in Jehovah's Witnesses congregations in Australia who have obtained child-related police checks. Documents will be tendered at the hearing which show that elders are instructed to allow considerable time to pass before extending privileges of service to a former child abuser. Since 1950, 28 alleged perpetrators of child sexual abuse were appointed to positions of authority after having been the subject of allegations of child sexual abuse. Further, of 127 alleged perpetrators of child sexual abuse deleted as elders or ministerial servants as a result of allegations of child sexual abuse, 16 were later reappointed. Mr. Toole will give evidence regarding the document retention policies of the Jehovah's Witness Church in relation to records of child sexual abuse. The current policy provides that records concerning an individual accused of child molestation are to be indefinitely retained in the congregational confidential file. The Royal Commission will hear evidence that this has been a long-standing practice of the Jehovah's Witness Church. The Royal Commission has been contacted by 57 persons about child sexual abuse in the Jehovah's Witness Church. Of these, 34 are themselves survivors of child sexual abuse in the church. The Royal Commission will hear evidence from 2 women, each of whom was sexually abused as a child in the Jehovah's Witness Church. Their cases are considered to be the most appropriate for the purposes of this case study. They are expected to testify about their experiences of growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, being sexually abused by Jehovah's Witnesses who were in positions of authority, being discouraged from associating with non-Jehovah's Witnesses, the distress they experienced throughout the Judicial Committee hearing process, which involved being interviewed by a panel of males without any support, the blame that each accused sought to place on them as survivors, the absence of an explained purpose to the meetings and interviews to which they were subjected, and being discouraged from approaching authorities. The Royal Commission will hear from both survivors that the impact of the child sexual abuse and the response of the Jehovah's Witness Church is ongoing. Watchtower Australia does not hold any insurance policy which provides cover for any claims relating to child sexual abuse. Documents will be tendered which show that in 2008, Watchtower Australia considered the formation of a separate legal entity, apparently for the purposes of minimizing liability in the case of litigation.